Cesar, welcome to the Hangout. We're really happy that you chose to hang out with us today. And I think for us, the Hangout is about creating conversations about how we can make football a better place for everyone to be in. We want to make it a safe place, an accepting place, because we think that is when everyone enjoys it the most. So hopefully we can get some good conversations with you today in how we can make football a better place.
A pleasure.
To start with, we can talk about the locker room. For me, personally, I know it's really important to have a locker room where I feel comfortable and safe. I first came out when I came to a locker room where I felt like, oh, it's normal to be gay. It's normal to be whoever you are. And you've been in football for a long time now?
Yeah, quite a while, I could say. Yeah.
If you should say, like, how has the environment and culture in the locker room changed since you first became professional and then until now?
Well, I think football and society evolves, you know, and as you said, it's very important that everybody feels themselves. You know, I believe that everybody should feel happy with itself. You know, I think human beings, we are so different, everybody. We don't need to copy or to feel ashamed on the way we are. So, you know, I always felt, you know, and I think every time more and more it's about inclusion of everybody feeling in the right place with the right people. There is no place for any kind of hate, and you know, I hope that we can keep working on that, because sometimes you see clear examples where we need to keep working on campaigns, on making awareness of that people should not feel ashamed and should not hold on things that they shouldn't. So I think it's very important. You are a clear example of bravery, of being yourself, and you know, I think you are a great example for a lot of people out there.
How was it like when you first became professional? When you were like 20? How was the locker room back then? Like in terms of how you were talking to each other. Was it a bit more tough? I have no idea because I've never been in a men's locker room. Mm-hmm. But just from the outside, you hear that it was more like a tough culture than I feel like it maybe is today. Is that right?
Yeah, I agree. Maybe, you know, I can speak about 15 years ago, but I think if we go back in the time, you know, it was different. Football and also the society evolves, and I think maybe football a long time ago was a bit more tough. You know, I also use the way that now you try to make people free and happy to express themselves, not to, you know, off the pitch, but also on the pitch. You know, sometimes people was a bit holding, a bit, you know, when you had a lot of pressure and you couldn't not be yourself. So imagine outside the pitch, you know, I think maybe it was even more difficult.
I feel the same with our environment, like here at Chelsea, like we have players coming from all over the world. Everyone is so different, and if it would have been forced on us that we would all be the same, I don't think people would have performed on the pitch, because you are so much better when you can just be calm, when you can express yourself, when you can be yourself, and when you are allowed to be different. And I think that is something that we have developed in the later stages of football, and it's really getting in the right direction. But I mean, as captains, it's something we have to really take care of. And is there anything special you do as captain to keep Chelsea like an open and friendly environment?
Well, I try to, first of all, when they arrive to the dressing room, to welcome them, to show a bit the place, that they feel home as quick as possible. If they need any help, houses, schools, if they have kids, whatever situation that, because you know, some young players, they come here to London, they come by themselves, so it's a completely different situation if someone arrives with family that can feel a bit more together with someone that can help, or they are together in the same situation. So it depends, but I always try to settle them as quick as possible. We have a fantastic team in the dressing room, and also working behind the team, which where we try to make it as quick as possible, because we know how football works, and when you sign for a team, you want to perform straight away. The club wants you to perform straight away, the manager. So the better, that you have clear your picture outside and your life settling. I think it's better for the player to be free.
Yeah, I also felt it when I came to Chelsea, even though I actually moved here and Magda was here, it was actually a safe or like comfortable environment. But I still felt a lot of demands, the pressure from the outside on performing. And I just became the best player in Europe also. And it was really tough actually to just go out and perform right away. It was really difficult. I knew what I could do, but it just didn't want to in a way. But yeah, it's something you have to, I guess, learn as a football player to be able to handle that pressure. And this is women's football where it's not as big as men's football. So I can imagine as a men's football player, like you have to really learn how to handle the pressure. Is it something you learn or talk about when you're younger, like as an education to be a professional football player, like how to handle the pressure from the outside? Is it something, it's not really something you talk about?
It's difficult because I think everybody, we are in different positions, different, I think mentally it's very important that you are honest with yourself. I hate when people start, but this, but the fault is because today is raining, because the teammate, because the manager, because that, that's maybe when you are a bit younger is the way that you can escape a bit the pressure. That I feel is more like the way of not holding the pressure, just throwing a bit on the side and trying to be a bit more comfortable with yourself. But I think when the times goes and you have your experience, then you have to be able to handle and to be honest with yourself and know, I don't think you need to go, now that is a very important theme in social media, like it's very dangerous for people to handle. And sometimes when you don't need to read or, to see if you played good or not, you know if you played good or not. So even if you know yourself you didn't play good and you see and you read you played amazing, that should not affect you. You should be autocritic with yourself. So I think now we have a lot of inputs into our lives directly, which maybe when I started football it didn't happen. We didn't have social media, and you had only newspapers or radios, but it's very limited. And now it's directly on your phone straight away. So I think that's a big part of footballers in women's and men's football.
Yeah, it's definitely like, it's not the same as you guys, but it's coming more and more into women's football as well. That so many people have an opinion about the things you do and whether or not you played a good game, but also sometimes how you look. It can be even more personal, or how you are as a person. And is your solution to it just not going in and reading it? Like, do you avoid reading comments or do you get affected by it?
Not really. Sometimes I'm more on social media than others. At the beginning, when I first joined, I didn't have, and then it's like you had to, because it's a very good way of connecting with the fans all over the world. It's your channel to speak, but it's sad that from the platforms, when we had a lot of examples that they were really bad, we didn't have the response from them as well to help people to be safe. It's your own. It's your brand, you're in the platform, but you should feel safe in the environment. You should not be afraid of when you click and what is gonna happen. You never know. It's really bad. So I think lately I left it even more on the side.
It's also said that probably like 60% of, or maybe more, the comments we get, you get, whoever gets, that's positive. Like, that's from the good fans. We have so many amazing fans. But then there is this small group of fans that are abusive, can be racist, homophobic. And it's just sad that they have so much power on how we feel.
I think it's really important to distinguish between the fans, because fans is football and we love our fans. And there's so many, like you say, so many good ones out there. But then there is also still that part of football where the fans contribute to a lot of hate and a lot of uncomfortable environments, even like against Man United in your game where there was homophobic chants in the stadiums. Those kind of things are still happening, and I'm 100% sure that that is keeping people from coming to games because they don't feel safe, and that is also keeping players from coming out or being themselves because they're afraid of what some fans might say. But how did you feel and how did you react when you heard about the chants that was made in the stadiums?
Well, it tells you that there's still a lot of work to do. Unfortunately, is the way, you know, I think education is key on trying to make a safer environment for everybody. I think is the aim for everybody to that you can be yourself everywhere. Wherever you go, you are safe. You are yourself. You don't need to act like someone else or trying to hide something. Just be yourself. So in football, we have a great power to keep working hard. I think we are doing a great job in our club, in Chelsea, in the Premier League.
For example, when it's Rainbow Laces Week, you see so many teams playing with the rainbow captain's armband.
Yeah.
I saw you did it, and I will do it in our game. So I think those steps and those campaigns are really, really important. And I think we are going in the right direction. We feel it. But like you say, we can't stop and we have to keep going. And I think it was really good to see how both Graham Potter and Ten Hag, after the game, they went out in the media and said, this is not acceptable, like we have a lot of work to do. I think that is one big thing that might help, is just big personalities, big players speaking out when something isn't right and just shutting it down early and clearly and saying that that doesn't belong here.
There's no space for that at all. That's very clear, and you saw some little things during day-to-day basis where you can feel people comfortable and free, that maybe this kind of detail can make more impact than seeing in the Premier League wearing a rainbow. But when you meet someone or when you have some kind of actions, that you can always make the difference by small details. Of course, we know the rainbow campaign or the racism campaign is big. Everybody watches on TV and everybody speaks, but it doesn't stop there. It has to be every day in your workplace, in your life, in the streets. I think everything can make the difference, every single detail. So we have to keep working.
As we spoke about before, Josh Cavallo recently came out, Jake Daniels as well recently came out. Two really brave examples of someone setting the tone, setting the standard. When they came out, was that something that was discussed in the changing room?
Yeah, it was discussed because, of course, it was big news, and you know, I think it was a great example of bravery, of being himself in this case. But you know, in this kind of things, I think we should normalize what it happened. You know, of course, it's different because in the men's football, as you said, there are not many players came out and might feel a bit more difficult to do it, but it should not feel something like, you know, just normal. It's just move on, and you know, it's his own life, his own choice. Just great example of bravery, but you know, he should not feel now like maybe like something or he could not express himself in the way he is. You know, I think we should the same with every kind of act like this. You know, as you guys, you act normally. You know, that's, I think is the way that we should move forward, is by being free and then moving forward in a very natural way without any fear of things that could happen.
I totally agree, because that's also how I felt before I came out. That feeling of not being normal is actually what made me don't feel like I wanted to come out, because I don't want to be different for a girl who's into boys. Like, I was the same person, but I just wanted to be with a girl, and I didn't like the fact that I felt that I was different.
And one solution could also be that maybe a player starts by just with coming out just to their teammates and just internally and keeping it there first, just until they feel really safe to sharing it with the whole world. But how would you react as captain of Chelsea or playing for Spain if a player were to come out, like say tomorrow? How would you be?
I mean, normal. I have friends that they are gays, and you know, it's just. I mean, I would try to help in the way that feels comfortable, and if I see or hear comments that they are out of place, to tackle straight away. But I mean, I would act normally. I would, you know, have the same relationship. You know, of course, that would be a great example of bravery, but it's just normal. You know, you shouldn't change anything. To be fair, it's just own preferences of your life.
It is the same. You think in your mind that everything will change from the day you say you're gay until the next day, but it's yeah, life goes on. So there's a new day, and then it's just normal.
And probably even better, like the pressure
Yeah,
that you built up to
God.
yourself.
It was so much better.
And the fears that you have created in your own head. Then you realize, okay, life is still the same.
No, it was like freedom in a way. I hope that everyone who is secretly gay or bisexual, that they can feel that freedom of just being themselves, because it's so important.
And I think for people to just hear you say this, to hear you say how if anyone would come out in your locker room, you would just treat them as normal, you would support them in any way. I think that means so much for everyone to see. Like, I can imagine a lot of young academy boys watching this and seeing how you behave, and I think maybe they feel, okay, maybe there is a place for me in football after all. And I think it's really important that you come here today and you speak so normal about it and you're so open about it. I think these are the conversations that in the end will help so much.
And you can be role models in different ways. Like, we are role models in a way that we are together and openly gay, acting normal, but you also a role model because you are so like, yeah, what can I say, like humble, I think, and you're really like, that you come here, like Magda said, talking about this. You're like, it's like allyship, that even though you are not gay, you can help people who might be gay, because you tell them how you would be acting normal if someone would come out in your team. And I think that is almost more important kind of role modeling than what we are doing, because you are one of the leaders in the Chelsea locker room that are creating culture, and that's just great that you are such a good role model.
Thank you for your words. And for example, in your dressing room, how do you feel? Do you feel comfortable? You know, all the girls, everybody.
Yeah, I think women's football has, I don't know why, but always been a very open and accepting environment. And I don't think, like for me personally, I've never felt like I had to hide myself or not being comfortable with myself. So I am one of the lucky examples, I think. I think Pernille's experience is more common, that at least in the beginning when you're finding out you're maybe gay, straight, whatever, then you could feel a bit that you were different or not normal. But I've been very lucky, and I've been in part of very like good changing rooms. And I also think in women's football, fan culture is also very inclusive, very open. For example, I've never experienced any homophobic chants from the stadiums or any situations like that has never happened that I've been a part of. And of course those kind of things helps a lot, because if there would have been homophobic, abusive chants in the stadiums when I was like 16, 17, starting to play professional, then I would probably not have come out. I would probably not have been this comfortable that I am today. I do think that that is something that we really have to look after and make sure that that goes away from football, because I think that is a big factor in why we still have this part of football that is a bit more about hate and not inclusive and all of this. We've agreed like football is going in the right direction, and we feel like we are doing a lot of things, but if there are a couple of things that you think is the most important things that we have to change now in order to make it a better environment for everyone, is there anything that you feel like, what is the most important thing?
Most important thing for me is try to create the environment where everybody is safe, not only by doing the campaigns that we are doing, which is amazing, it raises awareness for the world, we know how powerful football is, but also in the daily basis, trying to create the environment where everybody can express themselves, not only off the pitch, but on the pitch as well. I think it's a great relationship between how you behave on the pitch, how you feel about playing for that club, playing for the team with your teammate, with the relationship that you have outside, because as well we spend a lot of time together. So I think in this case, what we can do is on the daily basis trying to help each other, to create that environment, to be human being, to be humble, to be in that space where everybody can feel comfortable, whichever way it is, that they can express themselves every single time. And also with the power of Premier League, with our clubs, just trying to raise awareness where not only on the pitch or our part of football, which we are the players, but also on the stands, that everybody can live the experience in the same way without any kind of hate, of not hearing anything that can make you feel bad and not coming the next day or the next game on the stadium. That's, for me, is the most important thing.
Yeah, so it's like a big issue why we haven't seen a lot of out male football players is because we lose them as well at younger ages, because they maybe feel like, okay, if I'm going to continue playing football, then I can't be myself, and then they maybe decide to stop playing football instead because they feel like, okay, at least then I can be myself. So I think working in academies and really having education in academies of how you behave to each other, having an inclusive environment, how people can be different and that's okay, and all of those kind of things, I think is really important to start that conversations really early in football, so that just everyone feels like, okay, football can also be a place for me. I think then we will also keep a lot of more players and not have people stopping because they might feel that, okay, I can keep playing but I can't be myself, and then maybe they stop instead.
Yeah, I think now education, I'm sure, is different from 10 years ago. And now the kids, I think they are more aware of the situation, of how everybody can be themselves and not having any problem. And I think that's the way moving forward, trying to create the place that is for everybody. Someone should not stop playing football because he or she doesn't feel is the right place for them. It's crazy to think about it. But, it should not happen to anybody. That you cannot keep going your dream of playing football because of that. It's just that cannot come into my head. It's difficult, but I understand that when you are in the positions, some people, they can make the decision because they don't see that they can do it, as you said before. So maybe now with the work through the academy and the awareness, that we can hopefully the environment can be created as soon as possible.
That is cool that they come and they can express themselves on the pitch, like be more creative, be who they are. I think also more and more we see now men's football players, they also express themselves more outside the pitch as well, with like fashion, clothing, jewelry, stuff that maybe has not been the norm as a men's football player, is now getting more and more open as well, where people are wearing different clothes and just being more open and creative. And I think those are also things that might help add to the environment to make it more open.